This is Kathy Beal of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with another quick video at how the week's astrology is actually playing out involving litigation matters. What prompts this video is a pair of developments in New York State. One of them is that the Attorney General, Leticia James, filed a motion to hold Donald Trump in contempt of court because he has refused to comply with an order to produce documents as part of an ongoing investigation the AG has had into his financial dealings. And the second is a statement that was issued by the Manhattan DA that his investigation into Trump is still ongoing, that it is exploring evidence not previously explored. And he points out that it's a felony in New York for a prosecutor to disclose grand jury matters. So with that in mind, I am going to look at the charts of James and Bragg and see how they play out with Trump's chart. So let's start with Leticia James. Don't have a time of birth. So it's a solar chart with her sun on the ascendant, sun in Libra. It's conjunct her north node. So her whole path has been about pursuing, let's say, justice, matters of justice. And that pileup she has in Scorpio of Mercury, Neptune, and Jupiter, all conjunct, indicates a tenacity and a researchability, a diving in and going after ability. And do note that it is fascinating that Neptune is so prominent, as it also is in Merrick Garland's chart, which you'll see in the video that I put up about the Mars-Saturn conjunction of April 4. So that's one big thing. Notice that her Saturn is in Sagittarius, which does have a lot to do with the law. And her moon, we don't know the exact degree of the moon, but it is clearly in Capricorn. This chart was cast for noon. So anywhere between midnight and midnight, it was going to be in the sign of Capricorn, and moon in Capricorn is very measured, moving toward a goal, pretty solid, actually. And then let's look at what was going on with her today when this announcement was made. So Mars, put Mars down here. Mars on the 4th was conjunct Saturn, sign of the quartz, on April 4th at 22 Aquarius. And today, as Mars has moved off that, it's at 23 Aquarius. It is trining the degree that is between her north node and her sun. That's an easy flow. So action flowing really easily to push forward her purpose, and it's sextile Saturn, her Saturn in Sagittarius. That would seem to be important to remember. Other things to note would be the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, which has been ongoing and will be exact next week, is in an adjustment aspect to her sun. The sun will be conjunction the Scorpio, so lunar that's possibly requiring her to on May 15th change course or take a different action, revelations about money and resources. More importantly, and end a major coming eclipses are going to be extremely important to her. The we start with the solar eclipse on April 30th is at 10 degrees Taurus in her solar 7th, the house of allies and open enemies. And it will be opposite her Jupiter in Scorpio. So that starts a new phase, hits the reset button about how she goes about how she pursues deep level research, deep level information. I won't be surprised if if there isn't a court ruling by then that actually dislodges something. Then the other ones to look at, the lunar eclipse in Scorpio in the middle of May will be in an uncomfortable, it's a minor aspect. It's called a semi-sextile and it kind of nudges things along. I don't normally look at anything other than hard aspects for eclipses to somebody's chart, but I'll just point that out in case that ends up being very interesting. But more importantly, in November, there is a lunar eclipse at 16 Taurus. That's going to square her Uranus. A lunar eclipse at 16 Taurus in her seventh house of allies and open enemies, squaring her Uranus in her solar 10th house of career and public standing. I would expect something really big to be going on at that point in terms of her place in the world. And working on a case like this would certainly do that. So let's look at the interaction that she has with the defendant in this case. And I'm going to look at both of his, go back. My computer changed. Going to look at both of his charts. This is the one that most commonly is used. I understand I don't know if he's given it his approval, but this is the one with the 29-degree Leo ascendant. And the first thing I want to point out is that her Saturn is exactly on his moon. So she is a gigantic break, and BRAKE, and force for accountability. And this is also the lunar eclipse, all right? In the middle Saturn of contacts are blue. You cannot get away from them. So she is the adult, the sense of order in this situation, the dampening force on his bountiful, let's go do whatever we're going to do, moon. And there may be elements of since Sagittarius does have to do with international matters, there could be some international overtones to what she is doing. Notice also that and this is in his fourth house, in this level chart, in the 29-degree Leo chart, her Saturn falls in his fourth house of home and family. Her Venus in Libra, which would be her values of how the legal system are supposed to go, how people are supposed to act, is on his Jupiter and trining his Uranus. So that would show an interest in dealing with all of this, or a natural affinity in these matters. Her Sun, do notice that she has Sun conjunct North Node. He has Sun conjunct North Node. That's an interesting similarity between them, and their suns are trine. And the Mars Saturn conjunction of April 4 formed a grand trine between her Sun and North Node and his Sun and North Node. And this is also part of Mars at 23 Aquarius, which it is on the day of her asking for him to be held in contempt for not turning the documents over. Notice also that her Sun, 24 Libra conjunct the North Node squares his Saturn and Venus in Cancer. In this chart, it's in the 11th house of organizations. You could look at it as the Trump organization or the involvement of his kids or of an organization that has family, money, and let's see what the eclipses are going to be doing. Well, let's throw into this now one more thing. The Jupiter-Neptune conjunction falls in his 7th house of allies, partners, open enemies. And it is, as I said in the earlier video, it's in a good trine to the signature for his family money and his business. And it's in an adjustment aspect to her Sun conjunct North Node in his 3rd house of communication, which would include papers, the financial documents that she is requesting that the court find him in contempt for not releasing. Let's look at how the eclipses will be playing out with all of this. Oh, actually, no, one more thing. Her Uranus is in an opportunity aspect or a sextile to his Uranus. So, and it falls behind the scenes. It falls in his back room dealings and stuff going on. So who knows, maybe she's been working on people if this chart time is correct. Well, actually it falls in the same place, I think, yes, in the other chart. So this is possibly working on people to get them to flip or going behind the scenes to try to unlock what has been going on. So looking at what the eclipses upcoming might have to do with any of this. Wait, nope, still one more thing. Her Jupiter in his 3rd house of communication is trine his Jupiter in the 11th house. And again, she's going after a whole bunch of documents, a whole bunch of information. Fits beautifully. Okay, so eclipses. April 30th, there is the solar eclipse at 10 Taurus. That's in his 9th house of legal dealings, and it is opposite her Jupiter. So something really big could be coming that she directly causes to happen, growing out of the new moon solar eclipse. Then the lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 24 Scorpio on May 15th is on his 410 axis using this chart time. And it's in that semi-sextile, uncomfortable, got to get things moving aspect to her Sun and North Node. The other one that I want to mention is in, I don't know why I can't keep track of these. There are just so many of them. So sorry. Okay, 16 Taurus. The November lunar eclipse at 16 Taurus will be in his 9th house of legal dealings and also in foreign matters. And it's going to be squaring her Uranus. So something could be coming out by then. Now let's look at how differently any of this fits in working with the other chart for Trump, which is one using a slightly different time. This is the time that his second wife, Marla Maples, has said is correct. And using that one, her Uranus is on his ascendant. So she is a change agent for his role in the world. Using that time, everything in her chart. She's got this pile up of stuff in his third house of communication. It's all there. Using this chart, her Saturn on his moon is in his fifth house, which has to do with risk taking and children. This chart time puts his son and his son in the 11th house of groups, and it moves the signature for the family business into the 12th house, which fits with accusations of money laundering, fits with a lot of things that have been behind the scenes, fits with not wanting to reveal your taxes, not wanting to reveal what's going on with your financing. So the square between her son and his Saturn and Venus would be forcing communications that have to do with what all this stuff has been that's been hidden from public view. So that fits. In this chart, the Mars at 23 Aquarius would be a grand trine flowing from his third house, her son in his third house of communication, and Mars in the sixth house of daily routine, and then his son in the 11th house of organization. So that also fits what's been going on. If we use this chart time, the solar eclipse on April 30th, which is at 10 Taurus and is opposite her Jupiter, will be exactly on Trump's midheaven if this time is correct. So that would blow things open or move toward a reset of whatever is going on with him. And that, so either of these two chart times indicate that there should be a major development by the middle of April. I'm sorry, by the middle of May, involving her proceedings against him. Okay, so let's move to Alvin Bragg. This went the wrong way. There we go. Alvin Bragg, considerably younger individual, but notice something interesting here. He also has the sun in Libra. So he's also oriented that way. And with Uranus conjunct that, he goes about things in a different way. Probably, again, we don't have a birth time. So this is a solar chart putting his sun on the ascendant. His moon might be in the late degrees of Leo, but I'm guessing that moon in Virgo it's in Virgo at some point during the day, because moon in Virgo would fit with an extremely careful approach to things, chewing things over, questioning, not wanting to go with the recommendation of two prosecutors who've been working on an investigation for 2 years when they say they want to move forward. Notice that so Pluto at 28, so sorry, I was not supposed to do that. Pluto at 28 Capricorn, which is where it is now, squaring his sun. He's got uncomfortable, you must change, you must do things differently. Pressures on him. He can't just keep doing whatever it is he was doing. Huge evolutionary forces at this point in his life. Also, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in his fifth house of risk-taking. trining his Mercury in Scorpio. He does like to go deep. That's another similarity he has with Leticia James, although she has more placements in it. And I will also point out that this is also an echo of Merrick Garland, who has a 21-degree Scorpio sun. So all three of these individuals have some similar vibe in how they're going about things and how their basic approach works. The Mars at 23 Aquarius, exactly trines Bragg's Uranus. So today, the day he made this announcement, and he himself, his office said, nope, we're still proceeding. It's not dead. We're looking at new evidence. Startling pronouncement comes out on this day. Astrologically, timing, very, very interesting. And it's also squaring his Mercury, so forcing information out. And let's look at what the eclipses have in store for him. The two that are important to mention are the lunar eclipse at 24 Scorpio on May 15 will be on his Mercury. Could be big revelations, could be wrapping up a major chapter in his life at that point. Remains to be seen exactly what that is. A lot of people have been speculating that he would leave the position, but I'm going to say astrology says there's a possibility there could be another playing out here, because the Scorpio solar eclipse of October 25th at 2 Scorpio is exactly opposite Mars in his solar house of partnerships and open enemies. And that strikes me as a target time for something major coming out involving a man and involving money with the man. And the New York DA's office, the Manhattan DA's office, has been looking at RICO RICO charges for financial crimes. So let's see how this plays out with Trump's chart. The first one is the one everybody seems to look at all the time. Notice Bragg's Uranus at 23 Libra is exactly square Trump's Saturn at 23 Cancer, which then pulls in that Venus. So this would be a third house communications square to the family money, organizational money. If we go by this chart, also the Mars at 23 Aquarius, as it is today on the day of this announcement, is making a grand trine with Trump's sun in the 10th house of public standing, reputation, career, transiting Mars in his 6th house, and Bragg's Uranus in Trump's 3rd house of communication and data, which would also be evidence. Things that the eclipses might be doing. The oh no, one more thing I want to mention. Look, his Pluto. Bragg's Pluto is exactly on Trump's Neptune. In this case, Neptune in the 2nd house of finances. Let me say this again. Bragg's Pluto, big power, dealing with big power, big money, on top of Trump's planet of glamour, illusion, in his second house of money. That bodes actually really well for this particular prosecutor staying on top of this situation. The May 15 Scorpio lunar eclipse on Bragg's Mercury in Trump's third house of communication, conjunct Trump's fourth house of his family, his base, lunar eclipse on that, if this time is the one that is correct, will hit the plunger on everything having to do with home and family for Trump. And the October 5th lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 2 Scorpio would hit Bragg's Mars in Taurus, the money man, in Trump's ninth house of foreign affairs and legal matters. That again suggests October as an important time for what is happening in the Manhattan DA's office. And it also suggests to me that Bragg's still going to be on the job by then. So what happens if we use the chart with the earlier birth time and the 17-degree ascendant? Well, okay, so Bragg's Pluto on Trump's Neptune still in the second house. This chart moves the Saturn Venus signature for financial dealings into the 12th house of hidden matters. And so Bragg's Uranus in the third house would then square that, much as Leticia James has got something, her son, squaring that position as well. And this again has to do with communication and with papers. The announcement today that the investigation is in fact ongoing has Mars, as it did in the other chart, in Trump's sixth house of daily routine, making a grand trine to his sun in the 11th house of group associations, and Bragg's Uranus in Trump's third house of communication. This was probably, so either with either chart, this was probably not, this is probably startling and unwelcome information to Trump. What the eclipses are doing, the April 30th solar eclipse is at 10 Taurus. Using this chart time, this eclipse is the one that is exactly on Trump's 410 axis, hitting the reset button there. And the Scorpio lunar eclipse in October at 2 Scorpio, again, as with the earlier one, has the same placement. The eclipse is in Trump's third house, opposing Mars. Bragg's Mars in Taurus, the money sign, in Trump's house of foreign affairs and legal matters. So watch this space, watch both of these spaces. And if this is interesting to you, I have an earlier video on my channel about what was set loose with the Mars-Saturn conjunction of April 4, and numerous other ones. So if you like this, please subscribe. If you don't, I'm sorry. Okay, actually, I'm not sorry. Thanks to Andy Brewer for suggesting that I look at Leticia James's chart.